Commandment 8. Be happy to eat in constant divine thought, whatever you get, with due regard to honest and pious earnings. The philosophy involved in it starts from materiality and ends in the final state we have all to arrive at. A happy disposition is a state which percolates its effect upon the lower layers and purifies them. This is a state which may aptly be taken as that next to the divine. Fixing our thought on it means taking into account that which is our final goal. In other words, we begin from the point beyond which remains but that alone. This is the warp and the woof which has been interwoven by nature herself. We may call it as a material aspect of nature, though materiality be only for name's sake, which reveals the nature of the real being. The word materiality is used for it only because, after all, it comes into the human conception. Possibly men may misunderstand it as a wheel of Maya, but that would not be correct. This is in fact the state which pervades the entire sphere of Maya. Now we fix it up in our thought at the time of taking our food, so the effect filters down on the substance which is there. When we eat it, the effect taken it by it enters our body and begins to spread all through our veins and arteries. In other words, we have utilized to our best purpose the thing which we take it from outside. The particles and atoms of the body begin to get purified. The impulse of thought created thereby combines with the food and helps to promote our physical and spiritual health. The power of prana being all pervasive, nothing is free from its influence. It is inside the food as well as outside it. We apply the push of our thought to it, which brings it to a state similar to that which causes spark by friction, though it is somewhat different and purer. That which springs up by our contact with reality leads us towards supreme, the power below it not being capable of the job. Human imagination has no access to it. This paves our way to the infinite. Thus, so much distance is covered so very easily. Our rules provide for taking food in the remembrance of God. All our actions should likewise be such as may be helpful to us in the attainment of the ideal. While taking food, we fix our thought upon the ultimate, which we have finally to attain, in order to take in its effect too and increase our purity all the more. We have originated from purity. The pure streams, which were the cause of our coming into being, had also originated from the purest source, and for that reason, the thought of purity persisted in all us, in us all through. Never can any impurity enter into them. Not even the ravages of time could affect them in any way. Now, because these currents had come from a very powerful source, they were permeated with absolute purity. These currents are really the result of the action of the original star, which had caused the creation and which were perfectly pure. Whatever came into existence through their medium was also perfectly pure in its original state. But the influence of time stained their purity, and this was the result of our own actions and doings, as explained under Commandment 4. The thing got from nature is very pure, because its basis is purity. The thing earned by man can also remain in a pure state when that is got through pure and pious means. The influence thereof will affect the nearest layers and help to purify this human web. This is the reason why sages have laid so much stress upon honest and pious earnings.
We'll read Dr. KCV's commentary.
Yeah, I'll go to that.
Yeah.
Commandment 8. Be happy to eat in constant divine thought, whatever you get, with due regard to honest and pious earnings. The food that we eat must be firstly piously and honestly earned. Righteously earned food is like poison to the very system. Foods are of good quality when they are sattva, both regards to the means and with regard to their quality as such. That is, which have sattvic nature, as distinguished from rajasic and tamasic. Tamoguna foods produce inertia, perversion, sleep, and so on. Whereas Rajoguna foods are those which increase heat and perverse activity and passion and more desire. Sattvic food grant lightness to the system and help making the indriyas of the body do their allotted work, that is dharma, skillfully and efficiently. The body is made up of several organs, all of which are intended in a sense to develop skillful work and efficiency, and they have right activity as well as wrong activity. Desires feed the wrong activity or make for wrong activity and inertia too. Whereas work in the consciousness that this body is for work of God or liberation from the body's inertia and desires, for doing service to God or to know God, will not bind man. Na karma lipyate nare. Karmas performed with the awareness that all belong to God will not stain or touch man. Satvika bhava is necessary. Along with the same, there must be sattvika food. In our ancient Ayurvedic materia medica, that is Dhatu Path, we have clear instructions about the value of our food. Different kinds of vegetables, whether they are sattva producing, or rajas producing, or tamas producing. This wholesome method has been completely forgotten nowadays when the hotel keepers and chefs prescribe what is tasty according to their capacity to tempt an eater to ask for more of it. Thus, appetizers are being created, which create more and more desire. The modern civilization is a dinner civilization. I remember Swami Vivekananda called Hinduism kitchen religion. It was rather unkind of him. There is a great truth if it is said that eating is not the primary test of religion, but perhaps he was referring to the exclusiveness and privacy of eating some people have counseled. The fact is that eating must be done in the consciousness of God, the giver being God. And in fact, it is for God that one ultimately lives and eats to live rather than lives to eat, which is its inversion. We all know that there is some truth in saying that if any man casts his eye on another man when eating and says that he is a good eater or that child is eating nicely, that man or child begins to develop nausea for food. There is an evil eye in this. We also know that the modern dinner system, whilst it may promote certain classes of persons, is unsuitable to spiritual purposes. The have nots of food do envy the haves of food, and we are having today the food crisis in a psychological sense, insofar as all are demanding more and more food, and of all sorts and kinds, for all irrespective of real needs. Indeed, the unscientific goal about the health leading to feeding and fattening of man, thanks to what is called the calorie need per capita, is one of the worst phenomena that we have. It does not mean that men are becoming healthier or better capable of work. I'll take a pause here. I'll proceed.
Yeah.
Uh, Simple food that has not been got by ill means or cruelty, food that is wholesome and sattvika, food that will promote spiritual thoughts, moderate and sweet, or pleasant rather than pleasure provoking and passion and desire increasing, is basic to the proper maintenance of our bodies. It will not accumulate darkness within and will make all organs obey the supreme consciousness and unknot the whole and link us up with the divine. Sri Krishna has spoken about the importance of this food management. Sri Ramchandraji has also spoken about the same. The Upanishad has pointed out that Annam is Brahman. It speaks of prana as of the bhu, this world, and apana as the bhuva, that is mid world, and vayana as of the suva, that is the higher world, and speaks of annam as that which is of the maha world, and it is with annam that everything becomes big or mahat, mahiyante. Annam here does not mean ordinary food, but by which all things live and grow or evolve. God is verily the food or nectar which a soul drinks and grows into his nature. He is not this food that makes one grow, but the divine prasad, that is grace food given by God, with blessings that make one grow and increase one's real being, that is sattva, and makes all organs work properly, dharma or artha. The Veda rightly insists that very earnest seeker after divine life must therefore sprinkle his food with the mantra. By Rata, by Rata do I sprinkle my Satya, existence or being, and by Satya do I sprinkle my Dharma. Satyatma tena paschanchami, tamtva satyena parsinchami. This is the basic truth about food. It follows without saying that questions regarding the eating of animal food, etc., are to be discovered by each individual as not conducive to the spiritual development, though they may be compromise formula for those who follow the paths other than spirituality. The subtler and spiritual the food that one eats, the more perfect becomes his capacity to respond to the divine force that is always flowing into one. Indeed, in a sense it is that in a sense it is that which gives such power to spiritual men. It may be perfectly possible that some may claim the spiritual force to be capable of changing the bad food into excellent material or transform blood and wine into spiritual food. The Veera Marga tantrics have held that the makara, Panch Makara could be utilized and sublimated into spiritual forces. Mada, Matsya, and Mamsa are said to be necessities on the sadhana. Such a view, however, tempts the worst possible developments and should not be undertaken. We are seeking the ultimate. The ultimate discards all desires, and anything that produces desires or intensifies them must be said to be nishiddha or prohibited. Thus, constant divine thought is necessary, and one must receive all that one gets or earns as given by God. The Ishavasya Upanishad puts it, Tena tyaktena bhunjita, renouncing that anything is yours, that is, thinking that everything has come from God as prasada. One should enjoy, be happy, and that which is given. Yadarcha labha santushti. This will make all organs of God, oneself the body of God, and no activities will go perverse or bind one. Desirelessness will be improved, and one begins to get the glimpse of the ultimate in oneself. So that's the end of.
We will read Imperience Beacons also.
Okay. Happiness, Commandment 8. The eighth commandment directs us to be happy to eat in constant divine thoughts, whatever you get, with due regard to honest and pious earnings. Be happy. When we have come to the position of living as per the earlier commandments that enjoined us to be not revengeful for the wrongs done by others, to know that everything that happens to us is happening because of our actions, that is karma, knowing that everyone is our brother or sister, having fixed our God goal as the ultimate, and are confident of reaching our homeland with the Master's help that we already got. Now we can live happily with what we get. Be happy to eat in constant divine thought whatever you get. We should understand why he said, whatever you get. Coming to the ashram and then complaining about the taste and quantity of food items is not a proper attitude. Say puris are not given, curd rice is not given, is not proper attitude. That is not sadhana. To understand that whatever is given in pious thought, and the man who gives us is our own brother, is the proper grasp of the system. We have to eat whatever is given as a gift from the divine. Eating is for sustenance. We eat so that we may live. Why should we live? That is the will of God. God is the base, and happiness is the way of all existence. Our master brings in the concept of the weaving loom, where there is a warp and a woof which interplay in order to bring out a fabric. The fabric of existence is made of the warp of God and the woof of happiness. Master asserts the happy disposition, that which we should have, is next only to the divine. It is therefore necessary that we eat not only healthy and balanced food as per the nutritional requirements, but it should be coupled with the happy disposition at the time of eating. To live is to live well. Master asserts that it is a hidden dictum of nature that all should be happy. Further, it is necessary that we go through the results of past actions, which have their own effects. In other words, we have to go through bhogam. Really, life has no other meaning. Please note it. Life has no other meaning except in giving us an opportunity to get rid of our samskaras. This is an opportunity given to us. That is the greatness of man's life. Human life is one that is endowed with mind, and if we don't use it, we are really throwing off a gift. An opportunity is lost. Revered Babuji says, with due regards to honest and pious earnings. Why? This this is in order to maintain purity. A doctor says the insulin costs rupees 5 and I have to charge rupees 15 for the injections, otherwise I cannot live. Is this purity? Yes. If it is absolutely a must and you have to charge that, then that is honesty. If it is done honestly, the only way in which you can live, that is due regard. The word due is very difficult word to understand. With due regard, we never said that it should not be something which can be considered as an avarice or greed or any other such thing. The profound theory Hindus and Muslims practice is that God has created man and has provided means for his sustenance. But we forget, but we forget this and we start thinking that we have to create an asset. We have to go on accumulating. That again many times means resorting to foul methods. A foul thought immediately pollutes the food that you eat. We know pretty well that whether we earn by pious means or impious means, that thought is there. That thought of impious means automatically covers the food and we eat polluted food. This pollution is entirely different from the pollution that our environmentalists talk about. They talk about physical pollution. Here it is mental pollution. It is much worse. So, polluted food is what we should not have. In order to keep it as pure food, we must always think that this is what divinity has blessed me with today. He says, our living should be in such a way as to justify as to what we get as food. Because our living, our way of life, or what we call vocation, is primarily meant for earning food, nothing else. Not for expressing our ego, not for self expression, self esteem, concepts of motivation, all those things which are well understood. But fundamentally, why do we work? We work, one, to express the divine, and two, to continue to express yourself. Otherwise, we will not exist. We'll die. We have no right for suicide. Nobody has got that right. Nobody has got a right to kill himself because divinity has thought it fit to express itself through us, and it shall be divinity alone which fixes the time when we should get back. It is not for us to fix the time. Our birth was not dependent upon our will, nor is our exit going to depend upon our will. In order to see what we continue to live, in order to see that we continue to live and express ourselves, we earn our food. But that shall not be something that is foul. What is foul? What is right? What is not correct? All these things were not discussed by Revered Babuji because our conscience is the best guide. It tells us whether we earned our food dishonestly or food honestly or dishonestly. Nobody need tell us when we earn dishonestly that we have earned dishonest food. Our conscience knows, and we automatically know that there is something wrong.
Okay, Dharmesh, there's a small article written by Swami Vivekananda about food. I want to read that because there are a lot of points which are covered, and which Babaji also quotes in his conclusion in efficacy of Raj Yoga also. It is a book titled Bhakti Yoga by Swami Vivekananda. It's a chapter called Method and Means, in which the food item he talks quite a lot about food. We'll read about this because it deals with food and all that, with important one of the means of realizing God is the ahara, ahara, not only the food, but any sensory input coming from visual sense and taste sense or sound sense, that also becomes ahara, which we'll talk about. So I'll start reading. In regard to the method and means of Bhakti Yoga, we read in the commentary of Bhagavan Ramanuja on the Vedanta Sutras. The attaining of that comes through discrimination, controlling the passions, practice, sacrificial work, purity, strength, and suppression of excessive joy. Viveka or discrimination is, according to Ramanuja, discriminating among other things, the pure food from the impure. According to him, food becomes impure from three causes. First, by the nature of the food itself, as in the case of garlic, etc. Second, owing to its coming from wicked and accused persons. And third, from physical impurities such as dirt or hair, etc. The Shrutis say, when the food is pure, the sattva element gets purified and the memory becomes unwavering. And Ramanuja quotes this from the Chandogya Upanishad. The question of food has always been one of the most vital with the bhaktas. Apart from the extravagance into which some of the bhakti sects have run, there is a great truth underlying this question of food. We must remember that according to the Sankhya philosophy, the sattva, rajas, and tamas, which is the state of harmonious equilibrium from the prakriti, and in the heterogeneous distributed condition form the universe, are both the substance and quality of prakriti. As such, they are the materials out of which every human form has been manufactured. And the predominance of the sattva material is what is absolutely necessary for spiritual development. The materials which we receive through our food into our body structure go a great way to determine our mental constitution. Therefore, the food we eat has to be particularly taken care of. However, in this matter, as in others, the fanaticism into which the disciples invariably fall is not to be laid at the door of the masters. I mean, this is the criticism which Swami Vivekananda makes, and untouchable food given by other people I'll not eat and I'll get impure and all that. It should not be laid at the door of the masters. And this discrimination of food is, after all, of secondary importance. The very same passage quoted above is explained by Shankara in his Bhashya on the Upanishads in a different way, by giving an entirely different meaning to the word ahara, translated generally as food. According to him, that which is gathered in is ahara. The knowledge of the sensations, such as sound, etc., is gathered in for the enjoyment of the enjoyer, self. The purification of the knowledge which gathers in the perception of the senses is the purifying of the food. The word purification of food means the acquiring of knowledge of sensations untouched by the defects of attachment, aversion, and delusion. Such is the meaning. Therefore, such knowledge or ahara being purified, the sattva material of the possessor of it, the internal organ, will become purified, and the sattva becomes purified. An unbroken memory of the infinite one, which has been known in his real nature from scriptures, will result. Here, let me remind the viewers that Babuji in commandment of fourth commandment also says the ear should listen to noble talks, the eye should see what is pious, the heart should be inclined toward pious. That is ahara also. I mean, the same idea which Shankara is talking. We should not listen to impure thoughts or see things which are of an impure nature. I mean, that is important. These two explanations are apparently conflicting, yet both are true and necessary. The manipulating and controlling of what may be called the finer body, that is the mind, are no doubt higher functions than the controlling of the grosser body of flesh. But the control of the grosser is absolutely necessary to enable one to arrive at the control of the finer. The beginner, therefore, must pay particular attention to all such dietetic rules as have come down from the line of his accredited teachers. But the extravagant, meaningless fanaticism which has driven religion entirely to the kitchen, as may be noticed in the case of many of our sects, without any hope of the noble truth of that religion ever coming out to the sunlight of spirituality, is a peculiar sort of pure and simple materialism. It is neither jnana, nor bhakti, nor karma. It is a special kind of lunacy, and those who pin their souls to it are more likely to go to lunatic asylums than to Brahmaloka. So this is what Babuji quotes in that conclusion of Efficacy of Rajiva. So it stands to reason that discrimination in the choice of food is necessary for the attainment of this higher state of mental composition, which cannot be easily obtained otherwise. Controlling the passions is the next thing to be attended to restrain the indriyas, organs, from going towards the objects of the senses, to control them and bring them under the guidance of the will, is the very central virtue in religious culture. Then comes the practice of self-restraint and self-denial. All the immense possibilities of divine realization in the soul cannot get actualized without struggle and without such practice on the part of the aspiring devotee. The mind must always think of the Lord. It is very hard at first to compel the mind to think of the Lord always. But with every new effort, the power to do so grows stronger in us. By practice, O son of Kunti, and by non-attachment is it attained, says Sri Krishna in the Gita. And then, as to the sacrificial work, it is understood that the 5 great sacrifices, Pancha Mahayajna, have to be performed as usual. Purity is absolutely the basic work, the bedrock upon which the whole bhakti building rests. Cleansing the external body and the discriminating the food are both easy, but without internal cleanliness and purity, these external observances are of no value whatsoever. In the list of the qualities conducive to purity as given by Ramanuja, they are enumerated: Satya, truthfulness; Arjava, sincerity; Daya, doing good to others without any gain to oneself; Ahimsa, not injuring others by thought, word, or deed; Anabhidya, not coveting others' goods; not thinking vain thoughts, and not brooding over injuries received from another. In this list, the one that deserves special notice is Ahimsa, non-injury to others. This duty of non-injury is, so to speak, obligatory on us in relation to all beings. As with some, it does not simply mean the non-injuring of human beings and mercilessness towards the lower animals, nor, as with some others, does it mean the protecting of cats and dogs and feeding of ants with sugar, with liberty to injure brother man in every horrible way. It is remarkable that almost every good idea in this world can be carried to a disgusting extreme. A good practice carried to an extreme and worked in accordance with the letter of the law becomes a positive evil. The stinking monks of certain religious sects who do not bathe lest the vermin on their bodies should be killed never think of the discomfort and disease they bring to their fellow human beings. They do not, however, belong to the religion of the Vedas. The test of ahimsa is the absence of jealousy. Any man may do a good deed or make a good gift on the spur of the moment or under the pressure of some superstition or priestcraft. But the real lover of mankind is he who is jealous of none. The so-called great men of the world may all be seen to become jealous of each other for a small name, for a little fame, and for a few bits of gold. So long as this jealousy exists in a heart, it is far away from the perfection of ahimsa. The cow does not eat meat, nor does the sheep. Are they great yogis, great non-injurers, ahimsakas? Any fool may abstain from eating this or that. Surely that gives him no more distinction than to the herbivorous animals. The man who will mercilessly cheat widows and orphans and do the vilest deeds for money he is worse than any brute, even if he lives entirely on grass. The man whose heart never cherishes even the thought of injury to anyone, who rejoices at the prosperity of even his greatest enemy, that man is the Bhakta. He is the yogi. He is the guru of all, even though he lives every day of his life on the flesh of swine. Therefore, we must always remember that external practices have value only as helps to develop internal purity. It is better to have internal purity alone when minute attention to external observances is not practicable. But woe unto man and woe unto the nation that forgets the real internal spiritual essentials of religion and mechanically clutches with death-like grasp at all external forms and never lets them go. The forms have value only so far as they are expressions of life within. If they have ceased to express life, crush them out without mercy. The next means to the attainment of Bhakti Yoga is strength, anavasada. This Atman is not to be attained by the weak, says the Shruti. Both physical weakness and mental weakness are meant here. The strong, the hardy, are the only fit students. What can puny little decrepit things do? They will break to pieces whenever the mysterious forces of the body and mind are even slightly awakened by the practice of any of the yogas. It is the young, the healthy, the strong that can score success. Physical strength, therefore, is absolutely necessary. It is the strong body alone that can bear the shock of reaction resulting from the attempt to control the organs. He who wants to become a bhakta must be strong, must be healthy. When the miserably weak attempt any of the yogas, they are likely to get some incurable malady or they weaken their minds. Voluntarily weakening the body is really no prescription for spiritual enlightenment. The mentally weak also cannot succeed in attaining the Atman. The person who aspires to be a bhakta must be cheerful. In the Western world, the idea of religious man is that he never smiles, that a dark cloud must always hang over his face, which again must be long drawn with the jaws almost collapsed. People with emaciated bodies and long faces are fit subjects for the physician. They are not yogis. It is a cheerful mind that is persevering. It is a strong mind that hews its way through 1,000 difficulties. And this, the hardest task of all, the cutting off our way out of the net of Maya, is the work reserved only for giant wills. Yet at the same time, excessive mirth should be avoided. Anudarsha. Excessive mirth makes us unfit for serious thought. It also fritters away the energies of the mind in vain. The stronger the will, the less the yielding to the sway of the emotions. Excessive hilarity is quite as objectionable as too much of sad seriousness. And all religious realization is possible only when the mind is in a steady, peaceful condition of harmonious equilibrium. It is thus that one may begin to learn how to love the Lord. Yeah, this is the thing.
So, sir, just question about ahara.
Uh,
I think he was referring to the inputs to all five senses, right?
yeah. Same.
Yeah.
Ahara is the same.
And
Ahara is not just food. Any sensory input creates a vritti, And when the vritti is created, you can't see God. Thought interferes with your awareness of God. That is why yoga is basically chitta vritti nirodha. We want silence. And when the mind thinks about God, mind will become silent. So that's why a stage comes in practice when a person starts living in a turiya condition. That means he is beyond the senses become summarized. The world simply exists like a dream to that yogi actually, which is a common condition in disciples of Ramchandra.
so
These are preliminary stages,
correct.
Following the fourth commandment, not listening to noble talks, reading his books, contemplating, being in the company of people who follow the same goal. This will help in purifying your mind. And when the mind gets purified, it gets into layavastha with God actually.
So can we relate pratyahara to fourth commandment?
Naturally, no? It's all one spectrum. So, the pratyahara is, when you're doing meditation, you're doing pratyahara. That means all your attention, you're first of all preparing your mind by doing into the prayer as described by Babuji. When you do that, you're withdrawing yourself from all worldly attractions. You're dead to the world at that time. You have no desires or ill will against anybody. If you read that second commandment, you withdraw yourself from all, and remembrance of everything will merge into the remembrance of one. And then you are diverting all your mental energy, that attention of your mental energy on the goal actually. That is tapas or pratyahara. It's a continual spectrum actually. Pratyahara, dharana, dhyana, samadhi, this is all one continuous spectrum. You can't clearly divide it at what stage the food is cooked, and then what stage you're eating, what stage it is entering into your blood, and it's all one spectrum. There's no clear divisions anywhere. Like the mind, which is grosser, thinks like that. But when you become aware of spirituality, you know that it's all, your wisdom automatically opens up. But actually, if you see the whole article on food driven by Swami Vivekananda, Babuji took it out of context, and then it looks very critical of him. But then in the whole context, if you see, actually, if you read Ramanuja, this thing, it will be much more clear. Okay, we'll meet next Sunday then.